mysterious narrator tells the story of a house that was set on fire with a mother and a child inside. The father ran inside to save them, however, there was a firefighter who rushed in after him, desperately trying to save everyone. However, he was only able to save the father, who would later die in the hospital due to the inhaled smoke and flames. The firefighter, left traumatized and guilt-ridden, quit his job as he was unable to cope with his perceived failure. Then, he receives a phone call. It's his brother Jason. They haven't spoken in a long time. He asks us if we can help him move, and ambivalently, we agree, unsure as to why he called out of the blue after being out of contact for so long. 5 minutes later, Jason picks us up and we're on the road. On the road, the firefighter catches up with his brother, talking about how he was left broken after he was unable to save that family from the burning house. The firefighter recognizes the house and notes that the sound is coming from the inside. They approach the cellar, hearing the bells tolling along with some other creepy sounds. On the cellar door is a note with a strange and cryptic symbol. Hey guys, I make story explained videos, and if you like that sort of thing, consider liking and subscribing. If you do, we might make it out of whatever it is that we just fell into. Waking up, we see our brother Jason doing something to us before running off. It appears that he carved a symbol into our arm. Proceeding forward, we see that this is the same house that burned down, and it has the sign Rose's End on it. Entering the house, it feels unsettling as the colors are muted and there's a droning sound that dulls and perseverates, adding to the unease. I would also like to point out that there are creepy pictures and the walls seem to be moving. It's like there's smoke on the walls still. Climbing down a hole, we make our way through a tunnel, coming to a door that says reception, and through this door, there is a pathway leading to a desk. Nothing else around, just darkness. Ringing the bell summons somebody named Steve. He greets us with an extremely weird speech mannerism, disrupted intonations, and an annoying screech. Steve tells us he needs to scan us to find the cause of our death, but quickly learns we're still alive.
Please stand still. The cause of your death is blank in my database, which means you are still alive.
Asking how we got here, he realizes that the firefighter shares the same DNA as somebody who had checked in a few minutes earlier, Jason, our brother. Steve tells us that an entity must have invited one of us in, we just don't know why. The firefighter and his brother were able to pass through because the hatch is unable to distinguish people if they share the same DNA. Not exactly the best system, but whatever. Steve can't let us in without a death permit, and we can't leave until the entity that invited us sends us back. With that, and a pair of glasses that let us see into memories, Steve allows us to explore this dimension. Steve then teleports us onto a train, and we're being sent to the aftergrave of the ones who invited us here. The train conductor announces that the inviters have a gift for us, and a VHS tape falls from the ceiling. Playing the tape, the firefighter hears the news report about the house fire that took 3 lives. It's the same house that he was at, but the house fire was actually orchestrated by a cult. It was a sacrificial ritual. The victims were Emily and Chase Turner, the mother and son, and the father, William Turner, who died a few days later due to the lung damage. The firefighter remembers their names. Walking forward, we find ourselves in a room with 2 beds, books, and a computer. The computer shows the username Emily Turner, but we need a password to get in. Looking around for a clue, we find a memory in the laundry room, and taking out the glasses that Steve gave us, we gaze into the memories of Emily Turner. Emily is at the laundromat and receives a call from her husband who's asking for the password. She reveals that it's behind the dryer in the laundry room. And it's kind of weird that she went to the laundromat to do laundry. She says that it's too small of a dryer for her to be able to do the load, but why not just break it up into 2 smaller loads? Like, why make a trip to go outside? Anyways, we find the note behind the dryer with the password and we're able to log into the computer, but before we can see any documents, the computer asks us to answer security questions. Answering the very personal questions that the firefighter has no way of knowing, we're then given this question. I'll be honest, I was scared. I could hear something breathing over my shoulder, and I didn't want to answer that question. The computer eventually tells us to look under the bed, and too scared to actually turn around, I just walk backwards towards the bed to find the key. Heading to the locked door in the hallway, something scares the firefighter, causing him to hide. Emily and Chase are looking for the firefighter, and the boy mentioned that he knows it's us because of the mark that Jason carved into our arm. Before going to the next room, we see a little bit of backstory. Steve, the robot from the reception desk, gave Chase an arcade machine to play in an attempt to ease his dreadful death. I thought that was nice. Descending further down the long hallway, we see pictures of a boy on a wall. Heading into the next room, we see someone standing at the other side. It's Jason. He tells his brother to stop following him. Trying to call the elevator, the power shuts off, so we find a way to restore the power. Exploring the area, we come to another memory. It's the memory of Chase having fun at the arcade with his mum. When we leave the memory, we see an arcade machine in front of us. It's time for the firefighter to play a game with Chase. The boy will slowly pop out of the side of the machine in the middle of the game, and if you lose, Chase gets you. But when the firefighter beats Chase in the game of Pong, we get fuses to repair the elevator. After replacing the fuse, we call the elevator and hear cries of Emily and her footsteps drawing near. I wanted to see what she looked like, so I waited for her to come, but she never actually comes. The firefighter pushes the elevator button, ready to move on, however it gets stuck. Suddenly, the elevator doors are ripped off, and after several long and unsettling seconds, the elevator rapidly drops, shooting us down as the symbol on our arm appears on the wall. Once again at the reception desk, we ring the bell. I actually expected a jump scare from behind this time, so I turned around. Lo and behold, we catch Steve trying to sneak up on us. Steve tells us somebody is trying to contact us, and in the next room over, there's a phone ringing. On the other end is a stranger who tells us that we need to go to the aftergrave exit and that he's arranged transportation for us because he needs to talk to us. Picking up some matches with Jason's name on it, we're able to now burn things that have the symbol. In this room, we have to burn books, find artifacts, bring them together, form a symbol, burn the painting down, and then receive a key. In the next room, we need to access a diary, but of course we need a key for that too. Heading down a hatch in the ground, we navigate through this maze whilst avoiding Emily and completing objectives. After we get the crank we need from this area, the firefighter gets Emily's diary key from the well. Now, unlocking the diary reveals a door, paving the way for the firefighter to continue. Jumping in a sort of minecart, we hear Emily's thoughts as this is a journey into her diary, into her memories, into her mind. Steve had taught Emily how to invite people from the living, and she figured out who to invite because the person that killed her and her family left their matchbox in the house. Jason's matchbox. The firefighter's brother killed this family. Emily was able to narrow down the person by way of the symbol on the matchbox. Emily directly addresses us now in her diary and conveys to us that she wants revenge. Suddenly, a memory bursts in front of us, and entering it, we see through Jason's eyes. Jason had joined a cult, and he entered the house to sacrifice Emily and Chase as they were tied up in a chair, unable to do anything except sit as the fire melted them. Knowing that Emily and Chase were seeking revenge, Jason tricked us into coming down to the afterlife to use us as a scapegoat. That's why he carved the symbol into our arm, to confuse Emily and Chase, while he escaped. Dang, you really be your own family sometimes. We get a good look of the underworld in the next area. It almost looks like it's our own city here with buildings and streets. A train flies by, reminding us that we need to meet up with the guy who called us on the phone earlier. Continuing down the path, we're blocked by a gate that only opened after we placed the bodies of Emily and Chase on the altars next to one another. This was completely unhinged. In fact, when we put Chase on the wheelchair, he's still breathing. The gate slowly creaks open, taking us down to a room with a phone ringing. Answering it, we hear Jason.
You probably know the truth by now. Only one of us is allowed to exit this place. And the family will kill you before you make it to the visitor station. But don't worry, brother.
Hearing the screeches of Emily and Chase approaching, the firefighter makes haste through the tunnels. Unfortunately, they still find us, and we begin running for our lives. Doing our best to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Yeah, they still got me. After remembering to press shift to run, we put some distance between us and the pursuers, until the tunnel collapses on top of us, knocking the firefighter out. He comes around to the sounds of Steve and Emily having a discussion. Emily believes we are her target due to the symbol on the arm, but Steve informs her that according to her husband William, he's actually the firefighter who tried to save them, and that Jason is the firefighter's brother. He's the real culprit.
Come on now! What have I told you to about trying to go outside of your aftergrave fire?
You don't understand. That guy over there, he's the reason why we're here.
And what makes you say that?
That symbol on his arm. The man who killed us had the same one. He's the one who killed us.
Well, an individual who goes by the name
William Turner.
has told me that he was the fireman who was trying to save you two.
Wait. What?
So that would mean that his brother is the one who killed you. He's got a real tattoo on his arm, while this little Tootsie Roll just seems to have gotten a conveniently shaped scratch. Damn.
What's going on? Is William here too? Was this poor guy trying to save us? Is his brother still here?
Forget I ever said anything.
No, you have to tell me more.
I mean,
Stop that!
I don't know what you're talking about, but it looks like you two have passed outside of your aftergrave border. And that means I have to send you back to your aftergrave. Ta-ta!
Tell him that we're...
So Steve sends them back and we move forward, taking the train to see the guy who called us on the phone. We make our way through an empty hospital and up an elevator, eventually coming into a room with a man in a big metal tube. He is relieved to see us, but we still don't know who he is. So he shows us a memory of him trying to save his family before being pulled out of the fire by the firefighter. It's William. The firefighter breaks down, crushed by his guilt, and apologizes to William for not being able to save anybody. But William tells him that it's not something that he should be sorry about. I promise by the end of this video you're gonna know the firefighter's name, but they don't give us the name right away. William explains that the underworld has monitoring systems to keep the dead from leaving their designated areas. Now for the most part, only certain individuals are given monitoring systems, but William explains that Steve is a robot who cares. He gave William a monitoring system to be able to watch his family in the afterlife, waiting for them to invite the person who killed them. Of course, when Jason brought us, messing up the system, William knew what Jason was trying to do when he saw Jason carving the symbol into our arm. William states that the reason he isn't with his family right now is because they died in separate locations. He talks more about where we are right now, and this isn't the afterlife. This is the dimension in between, Purgatory, where souls need to find peace if they want to move on. In order for William and his family to be free, he needs us to exact revenge on Jason. By being an Avenger, we can save their souls and save ourselves as well, because if we let Jason leave Purgatory, we get trapped alive here for all eternity. An article on the desk shares information about Steve. He was a hotel receptionist. The hotel he was in was burned down by the cult, and Steve ensured everybody escaped, but he died in the process. William tells the firefighter that he can save Steve too by telling him the truth, freeing him from his aftergrave so that his spirit can move on. This is the firefighter's chance to save everyone. This is his chance at redemption. Ringing the bell, we meet with Steve and let him know the truth. He isn't a robot, he was killed by Jason, and that Jason is about to escape.
All I ever wanted. Okay, I will take you there. Are you ready to go?
Excited to be free, Steve teleports us to the visitor exit. Jason is preparing to return to the land of the living, and he gives a half-hearted apology to his brother, stating that his purpose with the cult supersedes their blood connection. The firefighter overclocks the portal and then burns his brother alive, the same way that he burned everybody else. An explosion sets off, killing not only Jason, but the firefighter too. The firefighter's name was Daniel, and he died doing what he wanted, saving lives. The game ends with the ascension of the saved souls. I enjoyed this indie horror story experience. It was fun. I really liked it. Again, if you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing on your way out, and see you guys in the next one.